What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder. Today we have a new report about Doctor Doom's plans in Avengers Doomsday. Not too long ago, insider Alex Perez from thecosmiccircus.com came out and said that Doctor Doom is indeed going to believe that he is a hero and not a villain. He believes that he is the hero and he is the one out to save the multiverse. And now we have a follow-up report from him about the very same topic. In fact, in a recent Q&A that he did on the Cosmic Circus discourse, he answered a lot of questions and gave us a lot of details about Avengers Doomsday, including some of the teams. He talks briefly about how Chris Evans and Haley Atwell get involved, what the next casting announcement probably looks like, another Earth that we are going to see that the Avengers haven't seen yet, or at least I should say that we haven't really heard about yet, because we've heard about different Earths, the X-Men one, we've seen the 828 one from the Fantastic Four, of course we have our main 616. This one hasn't been mentioned yet, but I like what they're doing with it. So lots of reports to dive into today, and what's really interesting is that the way it seems Doctor Doom is going to go about saving the multiverse, his viewpoint about it all, according to Alex Perez, it kind of sounds like he has the same views as Kang. A little different, but pretty similar. One of the questions that Alex was asked in the Q&A was any ideas on what Doom's motivations will be in Doomsday, and he replied, he sees the incursions that are happening as a danger to the multiverse, and he wants to put a stop to it using a young Franklin Richards. He sees himself as the hero in this story, and will do whatever it takes to make sure he stays on top. Now, when he says make sure he does whatever it takes to stay on top, I immediately think dethrone Loki and take his place. And we know Doctor Doom's not going to have the same viewpoints as Loki. Loki is essentially giving everybody free will, but Doom, it seems like he's going to be more like Kang. Doom is going to do what he thinks is the best option for the entire multiverse, and as we've known Doom for a while in the comics, that's not going to be what Loki thinks, or even what probably most people think. He's going to do it his way because he believes that he could do it the best. That is, until it all starts to fall apart. That's actually how he loses in the Secret Wars comics. He's fighting Reed at the end. Molecule Man is there. He takes the power away from Doom, so he's no longer God Emperor Doom. He's fighting Reed Richards, and he says, Reed, you think that you could have done all of this, Battleworld, played a god, saved the multiverse, you could have done it all better than me. You think that, don't you? And Reed says, yes, all right, yeah, I do. I think I could have done it better. And Molecule Man is sitting there and he hears it and he goes, okay, well, if you both agree, then he gives the power to Reed. So Doom doing things his way is gonna be a pretty big point of this movie and, of course, of Avengers Secret Wars. On top of that, we have already heard that he's pretty pissed off at what Kang and the TVA did, secluding the sacred timeline. So he's kind of bitter about the multiverse in general. So whatever happens, he is going to make sure that he is the one in control, he's the one on top, and ultimately we know what's going to happen. Battleworld, where he is God Emperor Doom. And Alex says, without a doubt, Doctor Doom is the main character or the, quote, hero for Avengers Doomsday. When he was asked in the Q&A about clarifying specific characters' roles in Avengers Doomsday, he said that it's been described to him as the heroes who have been the faces of Phase 4, 5, and 6, primarily in the movies, will be the ones that have bigger roles in Doomsday. And Marvel is going to try to have equal screen time and appearances between those characters. But of course, he says he's hesitant to say so because the script is not done yet, and we know that the script isn't complete yet. But he does say the only thing I can say for sure is that the main character or hero for Avengers Doomsday will be Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom, in the same way Josh Brolin's Thanos was the main character of Avengers Infinity War. And I mean, yeah, it's called Avengers Doomsday. He is the main character. And according to Alex, he is going to indeed have his own team. When asked what are the teams or the duos that fans can expect in Doomsday, he stated, well, there's Sam's Avengers, the new Avengers with a Z, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and all of these we knew, but then he says there's Team Loki, and Team Doom, although he doesn't really need anyone. Well, we've been hearing reports from other insiders about Loki having his own team and Doctor Doom having a team as well for a pretty long time now. And although right now it still kind of is a mystery on how exactly Loki is going to get involved, whether he can physically or not, we've heard quite a bit that Loki is indeed going to get his own multiversal team. And this is kind of like Loki being Avenger Prime in the comics, where Loki does indeed look after the entire multiverse and he's sends people to look after a bunch of different timelines and kind of investigate what's going on sometimes. And basically what happens is literally on Earth 616, Avengers Prime Loki fights Doom Supreme. It's literally Loki versus Doom. And Loki has a multiversal Avengers team. So in Doomsday, it does make sense that Loki would have his own multiversal Avengers team and Doom would have one as well. Based on everything that we have been hearing, it is essentially going to come down to Loki and Doom. And since right now Loki does basically sit on a multiversal throne, this makes sense. So Doom's plans are to stop the multiverse from dying, much like his plans are in the comics. And I will add that in this Q&A, he does say, when asked about will Molecule Man be in Doomsday, he said no. So perhaps Franklin Richards, like many have been theorizing, is indeed going to take the place of Molecule Man. Now, like I mentioned, there was another Earth mentioned by Alex Perez. When somebody asked if there are any other Earths we may visit, Alex said, even with Loki's intervention at the end of his show in season 2, the multiverse is still on the brink of collapse, and there's only a handful of viable Earths left. One of the Earths we're going to see is one completely decimated by the incursion, sort of to make the heroes understand what exactly they're going up against. And I think this is actually a very necessary scene because Doctor Strange has seen this. Doctor Strange understands what incursions are and what happens when they actually do collide, the two Earths, the two universes, but the rest of the Avengers have no idea, so it might not be that big of a threat to them. Subsequently, Doom might not feel like that big of a threat either because they don't really understand what truly is at stake until you see it with your own eyes, a universe and a Earth completely destroyed. Billions of lives destroyed. So I actually think this is a good way to let the Avengers know what they're really up against and what the stakes actually are, and also the audience as well, in case whoever's watching Avengers Doomsday didn't watch Multiverse of Madness, because I know in Phase 4 and Phase 5, with everything going on, a lot of people thought that there was just too much to keep up with, and some people might have missed a few projects, Multiverse of Madness being one of them. And this is something that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has actually been kind of making a point of recently. He said they did too much, so fans probably felt like it was homework. Now, somebody also asked about Chris Evans and Haley Atwell returning, and asked if Alex could elaborate on their arcs/roles in Doomsday, in which Alex replied, "End of the world. Forced out of retirement, a hero's job is never done." That reply makes it sound like these are good characters, not bad characters, not like Captain Hydra or an evil version of Peggy Carter. Not that we won't get them, but it does sound like we are indeed getting a good Steve Rogers Captain America back and possibly a Captain Carter. We'll have to wait and see on that one. And perhaps they'll be announced in the next casting announcement, perhaps another chair video or whatever Marvel thinks to do. And when it comes to that next casting announcement, we've been hearing a lot of rumors about that recently. Alex says that, yeah, he thinks one could happen before the end of the year, but basically, don't expect too many surprise announcements, except for maybe one or two. Basically, what he's stating is we pretty much know the rest of the cast announcements, and we went over this in a video recently. It's basically everyone we know is going to show up that hasn't been announced yet, like Peter Parker, Stephen Strange, Clea, Monica Rambeau, Bruce Banner, She-Hulk, Kate Bishop, Kamala Khan, Cassie Lang. He does mention Love, who is the daughter of Gore the God Butcher, but kind of Thor's daughter right now, Hope Van Dyne, Okoye, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Team Loki. That one's an interesting one because we don't know who could be on Team Loki. Perhaps he's talking about just everybody at the TVA, or maybe a couple of surprise cameos like he mentioned. Expect maybe one or two, but for the most part, we know all of the cast already. It's just pretty much everybody who's shown up in Phase 4, 5, and now 6. And of course, previous movies as well with the OG Avengers like the Hulk. So it sounds like there's not going to be too many variants involved, at least not to the point of them actually getting mentioned in the casting videos. So basically the variants probably won't have massive roles in Avengers Doomsday. In fact, what we've heard in the past is that there's basically going to be a giant fight where in this fight, variants come from essentially portals, another portal scene, and they join the fight to try and stop Doom. But if this is really the case, then they probably are just variants of other characters that we know, and they're probably only going to get maybe 30 seconds to a minute of screen time as they try to fight to stop Doom and fail. And of course, they'll be joined by a lot of the other cast who's trying to stop Doom as well. So I think as far as surprise cameos and multiversal variants of characters being played by famous actors who aren't in the MCU, I think a lot of that's going to come in Avengers Secret Wars, but of course I'm sure they'll give us a little bit in Avengers Doomsday since it is a pretty big multiversal film. But overall, really exciting things mentioned here for Avengers Doomsday. I do like the idea of Doom thinking that he is the hero, because Doom does believe that he knows what's best, so this is very in line with him. But go ahead and let me know what you think about Doom's plans and everything else you've heard in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Avengers Doomsday or Marvel news. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.